Hello. This is a response to two basic comments that were left on my video, and they're kind of intertwined. First one is essentially boils down to cops are racist. I don't know where they draw this overarching conclusion that all cops are racist or that cops in general are racist. But this is drawn from the fact that a white cop shot a black cop, and the only possible reason for a white person to do anything to a black person is racism. If there's a white person involved and a black person involved, obviously racism. There's no other explanation. And that's a pretty weak argument to make. Also, that argument ignores certain key features of the video. Number one, the officer who was shot was black. If all police are racist, or if the police are racist, then why are they hiring black people? Why do black people work in a racist organization? There's a key difference between, I don't know, the KKK and the police. The KKK is a racist organization. They're full of racist people. And you will find a distinct lack of black people in the KKK. The police are not a racist organization. You will find black people in the police departments. So that should be clue number one. Clue number two, which is also a very powerful clue, was that a police captain who got promoted to police chief shortly after the incident was black. Black people are advancing through the ranks of the police departments, achieving the highest position in the police department. That screams the police department is not racist. And finally, the officer who shot the black cop and the interim police chief, the acting police chief at the time, who gave a fact pattern for the shooting that was not accurate, or at least by all accounts not accurate, were both investigated. They may still be undergoing investigation. I don't know. This happened in June of 2017. But I'm assuming that by this point they have completed their investigations. Now, if the police department was racist, what reason would they have to investigate? They should just celebrate, right? Unfortunately, for all the people who are trying to push that particular narrative, there is no good data to support it. Now, speaking of data, the second piece of data kind of falls into that, or the second comment kind of falls into that we're talking about data thing. Ted Nugent posted that 700 people have been killed so far by police this year. He doesn't know how many others have been shot and survived. And that probably is true. That probably is true. I didn't verify it. I don't really care. I will accept that as true. Now, I'm supposed to be shocked and scared and, oh my God, that's a big number. And, that's terrible. We need to do something. But I'm not. And I'm not for the exact same reason that if I told you that 40,000 people died from firearms in 2017, you shouldn't be scared. You shouldn't be frightened. It's a meaningless number. And that was in the US, by the way. Because only about 14,000 were actual victims of homicide. So the real number that you had to be concerned about was the 14,000. The others were suicides and accidents, which are essentially suicides where they can't prove it was a suicide. I accidentally stuck a gun in my mouth and pulled the trigger. I was just playing Russian roulette, and it was an accident that I shot my head off. It was an accident. So the real number you have to be concerned about is 14,500. Now, of the 700 people who so far this year have been killed by the police, number one, I want to point out that that number is not included in the homicides, because those aren't all homicides, because they might be justified. And that's the real question. I mean, you could say by the same logic that, oh, the police killed 700 people last year, they're terrible. How many people did doctors kill? How many people did the military kill? Are the doctors and the military bad people? Probably not. In general, probably not. So it's a bad use of statistics. Now, we don't know how many of those 700 were justified or weren't justified. If you stated the unimaginative and unarguable point that innocent people have been killed by police, I will agree with you. But is it an unacceptable number? And if you say an unacceptable number is 1, well, you're misunderstanding the role of the police. When bad things happen, when people start shooting, the response of the public is to call the police. Help, help, sir, help, they're hurting each other. Even Timmy, even I've got a gun on me at all times, Timmy, News Now OKC, even he calls the police. Because that's the job of police in our society, is to come in and diffuse violent situations. Violent situations like where there are people shooting. Violent situations like the situation surrounding the Milton Green shooting, where there were 3 armed men who stole a car and engaged in a shootout with the police. Now, the police are going to return fire because the police, number one, it's their job to apprehend these people, and number two, they have a right to self-defense just like you do. They're going to shoot back. And, you know, when people start shooting, there's a good chance someone's going to get shot. And if someone gets shot, there's a good chance they're going to die. And if they die, the question becomes, was it a justified killing or not? But the police have a violent job to do. They deal with violent people. And they carry guns for a reason. Because they have to deal with violent men who carry guns. But I want to touch on statistics just a little bit. Another person responded that my experience is a white person's experience. My experience of not seeing the cops just randomly shooting people on a daily basis. You know, I could go in. I just went in. I came out of the grocery store. There were some cops sitting in there's like a little coffee area in there. And they weren't killing anybody. They weren't killing anybody regardless of their skin color. It's not a white experience. It is a small town experience, you could say. Because black people in a small town have the same experience with the police randomly killing people that the white people do. And if you go to an inner city, there's probably going to be a higher percentage of black people. And there's also probably going to be a higher percentage of violent crime. And there's going to be a higher percentage of police responding to violent crime by shooting. Because, again, going back to the Milton Green incident, the whole point, the whole reason, the start of that incident was that there were 3 men who stole a car and they were armed and they were engaged in a shootout with the police. The police are going to shoot back. This shouldn't be surprising. This should not be surprising. But I want to warn people who want to try to draw distinctions between white experiences and black experiences, and black people have it all terrible, and the cops are racist because they arrest more black people. I just want to caution people that statistics can get a little sticky, and they may not always tell the story. They may not always tell the narrative that you want to say. And if you start using statistics to try to paint cops as bad people, all the cops have to do is turn around and point to the FBI crime statistics, and your advocacy may be somewhat undermined by what you find there. I don't like playing the statistics game like that, because I think that that is too easily abused, misused, and misunderstood. It's like the statistic of I don't know, truck attacks in Europe. Well, they're done by Muslims, right? So Muslims are bad people because, you know, all the truck attacks, or the vast majority of truck attacks, were done by Muslims. But that's not the vast majority of crime in Europe. And because they choose one method of doing it, if you look at that one method, you could draw erroneous conclusions. And you could start painting a whole group of people. There's 2 billion Muslims in the world. And if all 2 billion Muslims were truck attacking jihadis, then they could do some serious damage. And you don't see that every day. And, you know, I work with Muslims, or I work with a Muslim, I should say, and he has yet to do a violent truck attack. So I just want to caution people on statistics. Number one, they are typically misused, i.e., 700 people were killed by police this year. The real question is how many were justified and how many were unjustified, and what can we do to reduce the number of unjustified killings by police. Anyway, I think I've rambled long enough. Thanks for watching. Have a great morning. Oh, one other thing before I go. I'm going to shut this off so I can go to work. To all the people who are hoping for the worst for me, I have some bad news for you. Number one, I have not been fired. I still work with the exact same law firm. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to be at my boss's house at 4 a.m. We're going to load up the truck and we're heading up to Montana to go hunting for elk. So if you think my job is in danger, you are sadly mistaken. I have more work at work than I know what to do with, and I get all the billed hours that I want. My boss has expressly told me that I get all the billed hours that I want. I get first dibs on everything. I've had first dibs on everything for quite some time. I do a good job. My job is not in danger. My job is also not in danger from the state bar. If you think my job is in danger from the state bar because of what I say on the internet, you sadly don't understand the First Amendment, which protects my freedom of speech from intervention and censorship by a government agency, i.e. the California State Bar. I have not been contacted by the California State Bar with regards to any complaints. There has been no investigation initiated against me as far as I am aware. They would normally inform you of an investigation. For those of you who are hoping that the Hemmings, there's anything going on with the Hemmings, I haven't seen any formal proceedings started against the Hemmings by the California State Bar. I checked about a week or two ago. So if you're hanging your hat on that, good luck. I have not been sued, or at least I have not been served with any lawsuits. And to the best of my knowledge, the FBI still loves me and thinks I'm their #1 agent. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.